It is 6 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order with roll call. Rain here. Belinda.
Here.
Tiffany.
Here.
Jonathan.
Here.
Nikki.
Here.
Jason.
Here.
And Kelly.
Here.
All right, if you'd all join for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America. Stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, first on the agenda is district highlights.
That's me.
Jennifer.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to share with you the Wrightstown Elementary Readathon for 2025 that we just recently concluded. So this slideshow just shared with you some of the information from that in hopes of letting you know what we do and how we do it with regards to the Readathon. So at the elementary, we ran that readathon between September 24th and October 8th. Students logged minutes and invited family and friends to pledge money for their reading minutes. The readathon was a huge success. The total amount of money raised was $15,797. Students read a total of 184,704 minutes. So that was a huge, huge, huge celebration. We had our top reader read an amazing 2,115 minutes, and that was Aubrey Wiersma. Aubrey will have breakfast with a member of the police department and get a ride to school in the police car. So exciting for her. In addition, the top readers of each grade level received this certificate, which was a $25 certificate for our upcoming book fair that they will be able to use toward purchasing books to take home for them for their own use at home. So that was a huge plus to this as well, continuing that reading. The top reader by grade also received a $25 gift certificate to the book fair, as I stated, and these are our winners. Our top winner in pre-K, 4K, was Zane, and Ms. Rubin's class was 806 minutes. Paisley in kindergarten with 840 minutes. Ryder in first grade in Mrs. Reed's class with over 1,000 minutes. Thea in second grade with 1,844 minutes. Henry in third grade with 1,505 minutes, and Aubrey with the 2015 as our top reader. So obviously you can see that they really took this seriously and are excited about reading. We had opportunities where high school students came over and read to students. Staff read to students. The free books that students earned along the way, they were able to use the coins and the book machine through our wonderful people who have donated that to the community through, oh gosh, the name is, thank you, Redefining Futures. This has been something that kids just absolutely love. Getting that coin to put in the machine and punching in the numbers and getting their book and choosing the book that they want has been something that is really a highlight in my day whenever we get to do that. Miss Penny does an amazing job of getting a great book selection for various readers at various levels. So just always highlighting reading because it's such an important thing for kids and everyone. In addition, we had guest readers, as many of you may have seen on Facebook. Just to give you a snippet of that, this was our last night in reading, and our lovely Miss Penny was doing the reading that night. So if you haven't had an opportunity to check out the Facebook page, please do so and go back and catch those now famous, Facebook famous anyway, readers that read to students each night. So that was really, really exciting, and very grateful and thankful that staff were willing to do that, and even community members. So thank you. These are the top readers for each class. I thought it was important to share with you that, even 4K students who are getting 595 minutes and, just really some outstanding minutes that you see across the board here. This is our kindergarten and first grade as well. And these students received a certificate and a book and a bookmark. This is our second, third, and fourth grade leaders in each class as well. It's truly amazing. I couldn't believe just how many minutes that kids were really reading and excited about books and to share that with their class in school. We also had top classrooms, and the top classrooms earned either a popcorn or popsicle party. That was their choice. So these are our winners. Miss Rubin's class was our 4K winner. Miss Franks was our kindergarten winner. Mrs. Reed, the first grade winner. Miss Vandervelden, second grade. Melman's third grade, and fourth grade, Miss Vanderheiden. So those are our classes that had that top. How do we use these funds? That may be a question that you're wondering. So the funds raised through our readathon are divided equally between the parent network and the elementary activity fund. Together, these resources help enhance student learning and experiences throughout the year. One example is an exciting event that we have coming up, and that is made through the generosity by you and community members, is a man by the name of Randy Peterson, who you may know that name. He's a well-known children's performer, and he will join us in January. Randy will work with each classroom to create original songs and celebrate our school and our students. So that is one opportunity that these funds help to bring forth for our kiddos. In addition, these funds also offset the cost for field trips and other enrichment opportunities, ensuring that all students can participate and in these engaging and hands-on learning beyond the classroom. So trying to keep, trying not to close doors, trying to open doors for opportunities, and these funds help that for the elementary side of things. Why is reading so important? Of course, you probably have heard a lot that 20 minutes of reading is so important because there are so many benefits to that, obviously. It improves not only their worldly views and knowing things that happen in all sorts of things. It increases creativity and their imagination, empathy, and it is really a good way to wind down at the end of the night. It helps to also relax. So reading is super important, and we like to make sure that we continue to stay focused on that at the elementary. So just a huge thank you to the Parent Network and all of our Wrightstown elementary families for your incredible dedication and making this readathon a tremendous success. So thank you.
Thank you.
WASB recognition. I'm going to take this one for you because you're one of the people getting recognized. So Rain is getting his 3-year certificate. So congratulations to Rain for 3 years. And Tiffany's getting her 9 years. She's the elder statesperson, but young at heart and looks and everything else. So it's great that we can go over to Nina tomorrow night and get that celebration. It's also in conjunction with a meeting. So Melinda will be joining us as well. And WSB has a program designed specifically for board members. And I think they're emphasizing legislative updates and the role of the board, I think are the two topics that they're going to be concentrating on. So it'll be interesting to have that, as well as our next Monday night special board meeting with Ted Nitsky coming in, reinforcing more than likely some of the things that have been heard. So congratulations to you too.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is CISA 7 with Aaron concerning superintendent search.
Well, good to see you guys again. Thanks for having me. And again, it's great to see you folks again. So at your spots tonight, I left a folder. It's got many of the resources, or I should say all the resources that we'll take a look at and just kind of review tonight as you guys consider utilizing our services again for your upcoming important search on your superintendent. Just to run through the folders real quick, that's service agreements on the first one on the left-hand side. Behind that is the timeline, which I'll talk to a little bit tonight, which really kind of outlines many of the activities. There's also a timeline at a glance that really just kind of narrows it down so you get important dates. And on the right-hand side, what I included in there is something I might recommend, and I'll talk to tonight a little bit, would be walking through a community survey, going into that search to really inform yourselves in terms of the feedback from both staff and communities. So that some of the potential questions that might be part of that survey are on the right-hand side. All right, so if I could start, just to run you through, we'll take a look at first at the timeline. That's what I have up on the screen here tonight. The timeline is a tentative timeline. There might be a planning meeting or two we would have to insert there yet, but it really walks through the important events that happens throughout. It'll include us meeting that initial time to really refine and set that timeline. Identify what we want that job posting to look to. It's going to walk through what we want the survey to look like to the community, consider what that timeline looks like to put out there for the community as well. We'll talk through some elements of what do we do with that data after we do that survey, if you want to do that, and I'll show you a couple examples of that this evening as well. It'll walk through how we do our candidate selection and how you receive that information, how you review it, what I bring forward to you for consideration, what you see, and then all the way through your selection of who you want to see through the interview process. So all that will be covered through our various planning meetings that we'll do throughout that process. We'll get into the approval window, when we want to post it, where we want to post it, how long we'll post it for. Will be part of that process we'll talk about as well. We'll talk about how we as an agency will help and support the screening process so we can bring to you some recommendations based on our background work that we have done. Obviously, you as a board make those final determinations as far as who gets brought forward for the interviews and ultimately who the selected person is. But we do our best to help identify some of the strengths that you would like to see in this candidate come through. And as well as if you do the community survey work, some of the strengths we saw related to the survey that we see coming through those candidates. So we'll work all that through those meetings as well. We'll walk through creating the interview evenings and the interview events in terms of how many candidates you're interested in seeing, what those events look like. Are you as a board doing it? Are we including like an advisory committee, similar to what we did this summer a little bit? I think we had a good process for that, so we'll talk about what that looks like. And then all the way through that second round, what you want that second round of interviews to look like. So that inclusive timeline walks through all those different processes with that. The one behind that, like I said, is an at a glance. So if you don't want all the noise of everything that's listed there, it gives you an at a glance of just the specific dates and summative of those various activities that might come into play. I do have dates in here right now completely drafted. It might be close-ish, but they're drafted. I think what would be, if you guys are interested in utilizing our services for this, to help streamline that process, I could probably work with Mr. Smodule a great deal to kind of outline that plan and really get a good draft back in front of you at your, probably your November meeting. We could get a good outline back to you guys for you guys to consider. So we can help streamline everything and bring that forward. We'd line up various meeting dates with current meeting dates that you guys already have in the books, so we don't have to create a bunch more meetings for you. And I think one thing that we recognized this summer when we walk through our process, as you go through this, there'll be some additional commitments that we'll have to make and consider as we get through the two different at least the two different interview rounds. So we'll do our best to work with you folks on dates that work for you, so we can utilize those commitments there. Before I go forward any further on that, I just wanted to stop and check to see if anyone had questions as far as the timelines or some of the activities that we really briefly went over here.
I guess my only question, so we worked together this summer and I thought the summer one was great. So no issues there. Is this the timeline that you recommend for a lot of districts in this position?
Yeah, you're hitting a really great timeline, right? For us to be having this conversation right now is fantastic, right? So, you know, as doing my plotting and mapping, we could have this thing posted as early as December. And depending on your interest and how long you want it posted for, you know, there could be arguments both ways before or after the holidays, to be honest with you. And then really it's once we have that end in mind of where we want to have a contract signed and all that, we can walk backwards and start planning those events in. But the short answer is yes, you're in a great position right now, a prime window, so to speak, going into this season.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great question, Jason. Other questions?
And will you go into a little bit more detail on the survey? And then-
Absolutely. It's like we talked beforehand and you transitioned right into it for me here. So on the right-hand pocket there, what I refer to as an aggregate survey. And why do I not have it open? So within that document on the right-hand side, what it's really and truly representing is potential survey questions for both community and staff. So it's an aggregate, it's bringing all together. So on the right-hand side, you'll see indicated in blue who the intended audience is for that particular question. Some say all, some say community, some say staff. So there might be some targeted questions that you are interested in focusing on each group. So this is a set of questions that we've utilized in previous surveys that have worked well. It's a great place for us to start the conversation for you to consider. Obviously, you have some targeted questions that you'd like to include. We can absolutely put that in there. So some of the things we commonly include in the survey is getting a sense of what both your staff and the community might be interested in terms of expertise, in terms of experience, what's important to them, in terms of personality traits. So through the survey, we look to see, and oftentimes we land the question of, well, tell me your top 3 priorities for characteristics or traits. Tell me your top 3 experience things that you're looking for. Tell me your top 3 things of area of expertise. So that's all the feedback that we take in through that survey work, seek out all that information. Through the survey, we also collect like the user's demographics. So are you a staff member? Are you a student? Are you a parent? Are you a parent of a student currently in the district, former student, future student, or just a community member that wants to weigh in? So we collect all that information. The reason we do that is after we run that survey, one of the things that we like to do is put it back into a what we call a Looker Studio. It's a database that really allows you to see the information. I call it, you can consume the information in here. Within that database, then, I have an example drafted up here on the board. You can start running through the survey. And the intention of this would be to be public facing, so you can have that good, clear communication with your community. You guys took the survey, what your results came in to be. The really neat part about this tool is it allows us to go through, and anybody can do this. Once we have it public facing, you can select the various demographics here, and it's going to say, hey, we just want to see maybe how our teacher group responded on these particular questions as far as previous experience. It's going to adjust just to see what our teacher group said. Maybe we want to put our students in there as well, or our support staff, whatever that might be. And you're going to see that data kind of ebbing and flowing and changing with you. So you as a board, the community can really get a good sense of, okay, here's what we said. Here's what we said we wanted to see in this next superintendent. We can take that information then and utilize it in terms of when we're doing our screening process. What are we seeing and hearing through their reference, their letters of recommendation? What are we seeing in their experiences? We can start utilizing that to really fine tune who we're looking for in that candidate. We can even include that information in our interview questions as your community and your staff and everybody tells you what they're looking for as importance. We can try to glean that through those interview questions as well. So that feedback of doing the survey, because I don't believe you guys have done survey for your last search. I don't think so. So that'd be something new that we could certainly, I would enjoy including for this one to get a great voice of your community in there. It's really going to be insightful for you folks to consider. So let me stop again and see if you guys have questions in terms of the survey, what we do with that information after the survey.
How do you get the survey out through the community?
Yeah, great question. So that survey, again, it's like we spoke beforehand. I have drafted up here a sample of the survey. And so this happens to be what the public would see. It's the community survey I have up on the board here. This would work with you as a district in terms of that communication. One of the most functional things is to use your student management system, your messaging tool through the district. We would work to get communication out to your public. It would be out on your website. So we look to push this out fast and furious as much as we can during that before, after, and during that survey window to make sure we can spread the word. Like I said, we could place a link out on your website. I'm going to show you another thing here, another place that it could be as well if you're interested in that. So we would work on that communication. Same thing for staff. The staff will have a very similar experience. Survey will look very similar. Again, just grabbing some demographics from that staff member as we get into that. Again, we can utilize your email communication inside the district to push that out and get that staff feedback. Does that answer your question, Jonathan?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
It looks like you have 2 weeks set aside roughly for the survey.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
It looks like you have about 2 weeks set
And
aside
that,
for the survey window.
just a recommendation, right?
Yeah,
It's
no,
one of
I
those
think
things
that's,
that-
I think it's good, right?
And oftentimes, if people aren't doing it the first 5 days, they're probably not going to come back to do it. But we do leave it open for that 2 weeks and do multiple different communication pushes. We'll work through with you on that, just to make sure we spread the word as much as we can. So the last part, I just wanted to introduce, and just as a potential opportunity for you guys to, because I know you didn't have it last time, because it's really kind of a fresh out the gate idea that I've had, and it's kind of been coming together for a little bit of time here as we do these searches, is putting together a website that we would help manage for you that has everything for the superintendent search contained. So it would be everything for your community members to see and learn about. It would be information for our candidates to consider. So on this page, it could just be basic welcome information about the Wrightstown community. We would certainly want to include something in there that would tell candidates, potential candidates, about the district. So here we're saying all the cool and neat things that are happening in Wrightstown, the community itself. Here's some cool things about the districts. If people are interested in understanding the hiring process, what we do here is we put that at a glance schedule in, so your community members can see where we're at as you're going through this process and understand step by step what's all happening. We even have opportunities in here if someone comes across this page and finds this page for them to apply. It gives them all the information of what they might look for. They can click apply now. It's going to walk them through that process. As we get through the survey, Jonathan, to your point too, this is another space where we could link the survey right in here for both staff and community. So community members could access it from here. If we have updates throughout the process, so let's say we've narrowed down to 2 candidates, we're going to do an announcement on that. Boom, we can put it in our search updates, or whatever additional information you guys might want in that search update section there. So really, it's made to be a one-stop shop for applicants, for you as a board, for community members to kind of get a sense of what's going on through the search. There's even an element in here for board access. As we start sharing information, confidential information back and forth, we could link to a folder structure right off this website that's secured and only that you folks would be able to get access to. So it'd be a great tool for you as well to stay updated on our calendar, our events, and then access the applicant information and perhaps interview by whatever else that we share together. So just an idea I had in terms of clear communication, so the process is crystal clear for both you and community members and for us included. And again, all that would get populated after we agree upon the timeline and spell out all the details through there. So that is essentially some of the new stuff. I don't think you guys have had it previous searches that I wanted to share with you tonight. A little bit about the service itself, some of the things that we can include in that. Understanding that a lot of these things we will certainly do and customize to the approach you want to take to it. Because ultimately, like I mentioned before, we will facilitate the process, but it's ultimately the board's decision. Who you view, who you bring an interview in the final selection. I just help do my best to get the very best people in front of you and do a process in which you guys feel confident going forward.
As far as forming a separate committee,
Yeah.
what would that look like? Or, I mean, I'm assuming that's going to be up to the board to decide, okay, we want X amount of staff members, we want X amount of community members.
Yeah. So the process we ran this summer, we had 8 days we put it together for us. So it came together quickly, but I think it came together pretty well for you. What I typically find and might recommend in these cases is through that first round of interview process, including what I might call an advisory committee. That advisory committee is just that. They're there to advise the board on their impressions, their input based on the candidates that they see during the interview process. Through that, I would highly recommend and I would gauge for you to do a nice cross-section of the district. So it might be staff and support staff from elementary, middle, high school. Maybe you have an administrator or two on that. If you're interested in including community members, we can talk through who might be the important community members that you want to include on that panel as well, on that advisory committee. Oftentimes what we do in that, we might have like a 2 or 3-way cycle in that evening during that first round of interviews. So the candidate might come in and maybe they're interviewing with the board, maybe then with the advisory committee. And if you're just doing one, maybe that's it. Maybe it's a 2-way rotation that night. If you have a second committee, maybe you have 1 community, 1 staff, 1 board. So maybe it's a 3-way bounce that night. But then all 3 groups get to see the candidates that come through with. So the advisory committee is a commitment just as it is for you and the board. We would ask for those advisory committee members after they're either invited or volunteered to be part of that, to commit to all of the interview dates, to make sure we can have validity and consistency through that process. Other questions you both might have?
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure, you certainly know how to get a hold of me if you guys have any questions as you go throughout your decision-making process. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to come in and possibly work with you folks again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple of follow-up comments. Aaron and I have spent some planning sessions together already and continue to plan on it. And hopefully that you guys are okay with him and I doing the legwork for you guys to get it up to a point where you can take a look at things. And so that is something that I would look forward to doing with Aaron and try to keep things moving for everybody. And then also helping out with some of the other things along the way as you guys see fit, but helping out where I can.
Yeah. And where that would be really helpful is we schedule those planning dates. So once we kind of have those locked in and understand the process you want to see, I can do my best to really efficient and effective. So we're not meeting 6 or 8 different times, and we can do so really effectively at dates you're probably already meeting. And some of those we just have to get into closed session to do interview questions or review candidates, but it'd be being able to work with Jim would allow us to do that nice efficient process for you guys. So
Awesome. Thank you.
great. Thanks, folks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is School Resource Officer Jessica Smith.
I'm Betsy. So this is Betsy. She's a school community therapy dog. And kids call me Officer Jessica, and I'm your school resource officer. I've been a school resource officer. I've been a school resource officer here in Ricetown for 11 years, going on 12. I'm a deputy with the Brown County Sheriff's Office. I've worked there now for 23 years. So I do cover the elementary, the middle, and the high school. My office is located at the high school. One of my roles as a school resource officer is I participate in community events. This year I'm going to be in the Ricetown Christmas parade. Me and Betsy on my golf cart. Look forward to that. It'll be a little cold. I always do the before school shop at the top. There's a before school one, and then there's one also during Christmas time. We can shop at the top. And then many different other community events. One of the things that I like to do is in the middle school, I teach a few classes with our elementary, our middle school counselor, Ms. Prodell, and I get into the 7th and 8th grade classes, and we teach stuff such as, we co-teach like a bullying incident or class, and then I teach online safety for both 7th and 8th grade. I also bring in an investigator for our ICAC division, which is Internet Crimes Against Children, and 2 investigators come in and speak to the 8th graders about online safety and phone usage, which is really awesome. Also, in the middle school, I teach the 5th grade DARE program, and the 5th graders get me once a week for 10 weeks. Some of the topics in there, we talk about bullying, have to stand up for yourself. We talk about vaping, which about 1 in 4 students, unfortunately, are vaping at the high school level. It is going down slightly. We talk about how they can stand up to peer pressure and about drinking and driving, the dangers of that. And those are just a few of the things that I teach in DARE. Betsy has been an amazing addition to me. I use her a lot. At the elementary school, we'll go into the classes and we'll read to students. She's also used as a de-escalation for students that can't control their anger or emotions. What could possibly in the past take 40 minutes to calm a student down. Sometimes with Betsy, we walk in and within a few seconds they can calm down. So she's been an amazing tool. And also high school, some kids that with anxiety, they'll come and visit with her. I think maybe a 5-minute visit, and then they can go back onto their day and have a successful day. I assist principals. One of my jobs is to assist principals in their investigations of school incidents. I'm usually just solely used in helping them to fact find. And it's the role of the principals to give school consequences and not myself. I can enforce laws such as truancy citations. If there's a fight, I can write citations. Ricetown's a really good school district, so I don't have to write many citations like my cohorts in Green Bay. So we really do have an awesome school district. So I do meet with their school resource officers once a month from all over Brown County, and the stories they have fights every day. So ours is like maybe every 3 years. So I'm not done with that. I also assist with the emergency response, preparedness, and create a safe and supportive environment to school, to staff and to students. And I like to be a mentor towards kids. And I really think getting my foot in when they're 10 and 11 with the DARE program, having me for 10 weeks helps them feel safe around me. A lot of times they'll come to me when they have problems or issues or stuff at home. So it's not just school stuff. So that's basically my role all wrapped up. I wear a lot of hats and I really enjoy my job here.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Officer Jessica? She gets her coat and walks out the door.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Thank
tonight.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right, next on the agenda is upcoming events.
Yeah, we've got three there that, every month we try to highlight some things that maybe you wouldn't necessarily see. So we've got Bus Safety Week this week and School Psych Week in the early November, and then Substitute Educators Day, November 21st, which we should all be very thankful for, those people that do that. So just a couple of little things here and there that we would like to make mention to honor those people. So
Awesome.
nothing more.
At this time, we'll go to open forum. So this is the public's opportunity to bring concerns to the board. Board discussion and action on public forum items is prohibited per the open meeting law agenda posting requirement. Items may be taken under advisement, referred to proper channels, or basic general information may be provided. Hearsay, personal attacks, and anonymous concern will not be considered. Those wishing to speak will be given 5 minutes to speak. Board minutes will reflect only open forum general comments. And it looks like we have one person, Ron Zong.
Yes, Ron Zahn, a village resident. I do realize that it's not good to live one's life with an eye always in the rearview mirror. Being stuck on the past can easily lead to constant carping or other ills. However, before moving ahead, it is also good to learn lessons, whatever lessons that past can teach. There well may be lessons from the past not yet learned by this board, it seems to me. During the recent shameful recall election, the claim was made to me personally and possibly also on the recall's website that it was the duty of the board president to promptly correspond in some way with all citizens who braved speaking at this podium. During the rather short presidency of Angela Hansen-Winker, I spoke to the board on several occasions. And following one or two of those, I did receive from her a kind note of appreciation. During the tenure of the current president, I have likewise spoken several times, but have received no communication. What's good for the goose, it seems to me, ought also to be good for the gander. If the former president should be recalled in part because she did not fulfill this responsibility, should not the current president also face a recall or some kind of comment? Seems to me an obvious lesson has not been learned, but then again, maybe that requirement on the office of president was no more than a figment in the imagination of those who conducted the recall. Does anybody on this board know how many board members, citizens, speakers from this platform brought up the subject of wasted district dollars, of unnecessary and extravagant legal fees, of the likely high cost of a severance package? Probably not, because the number would be large. Malpractice on the part of the former board president regarding district dollars became a constant recall theme. Well, no, just last month, this board approved legal fees in excess of $15,000. And just a bit earlier had approved a severance package for the excellent administrator, Mr. Sarver. And more recently, a pricey salary and benefits package for the current interim superintendent for about 10.5 months' work. And earlier, there was the cost of nearly $39,000 for the recall election. A cost, by the way, that sits squarely in the lap of the current president. I won't at this time comment on where all this lies on the Goldilocks scale. But I will say this, it's a lot of money authorized by the same people who screamed in opposition to the expenses of the former board. Let that sink in for a minute, if indeed it can, after the criticism of the former president for extra budgetary expenditures. Apparently, a lesson was learned, but a weird one. If you don't like what the former board did, just do the same thing in spades. Like so much in life, apparently lessons learned or not learned come in threes. There's also the matter of property taxes. Citizens had to work overtime over a period of time to convince the board to stop defeasance. Only after the voters installed more members with an ear to the citizen was there relief to the taxpayer. Now it appears that there could be a noticeable increase in the mill rate. When that increased mill rate is applied to sharply increasing property values, the property owner gets a double whammy. The lesson not yet learned is that citizens have budgets too. However, we can't increase our household income simply by taking a vote on the mill rate. Regarding the rearview mirror, perhaps we can better work together to the benefit of the district when there's evidence that lessons have been learned. At this point, I don't see it. Thank you.
All right. Agenda item number 6, discussion and possible approval of the August 8th, 2025 special meeting minutes. Be looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Discussion and possible approval of the September 17th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the September 17th meeting minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions on it? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Discussion and possible approval of the October 8th workshop minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 8th workshop minutes.
I'll second.
Any questions on it? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next on the agenda is consideration to approve the monthly bills, listings, and receipts.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right. Any questions on the listings and receipts? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Approve and set the 2025-26 school year tax levy and final budget adjustments as required per state statute.
I make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 budget as presented and adopt the 2025-2026 tax levy of $5,712,454. In the general fund, $2,091,578 in the debt service fund, and $40,000 in the community service fund, for a total tax levy of $7,844,032.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to offer some thoughts and then let Dan go through a PowerPoint for folks before you may take the final vote. So thank you for that. You know, I would, interestingly enough, I was thinking about double whammies earlier today, but unfortunately, we have to talk about triple whammies. We have a triple whammy this year. The triple whammy is state funding, vouchers, as well as the increase per student aid offered to us by the state of Wisconsin. And unfortunately, this triple whammy is for the negative. First of all, the state funding went down 5.23%, which correlates to $550,000 here locally. 3/4 of the school districts in this state received less state aid this year than they did last year. Might I mention that we do know that they have a record amount of rainy day funding in their fund balance at the state level that they choose not to allow us to access that money to educate kids. Secondly, we have a voucher system that started a few years ago. We have no control over that. It's up to $647,000 this year. It went up $140,000. We had no idea about that at the annual meeting. So when we make our predictions at the annual meeting, there are certain factors that we don't know about, thus the reason why we're here tonight. That's one of the factors. So that's $140,000 extra that goes on property taxes. Maybe something that could be considered is, why is it put on property taxes and not some other form? Why do we have to bear the brunt of people being upset by their property taxes going up that we have no control over, but yet we get blamed for it? And thirdly, the $325 per student, $325 times 1,311 kids, which is our enrollment this year, comes up to $426,000. They didn't fund that. They didn't give us the money for that. They said, if you want it, you know, you have to go plead in front of your local taxpayers in meetings like tonight. So you put all that together, the 550, the 140, and the 426, it comes up to $1,116,000 that we were left on the hook for locally. So now what do? Well, we have 3% increase in inflation. We took that down to 0.33. Now you're going to see on the sheets that it says an overall increase of 1.26. That's because we're taking money out of a Fund 80 fund balance to help out the taxpayers, because we appreciate the pain that they're going through. We empathize with that, and we're trying to do our darndest here at the local level to meet that need. But we can only do so much. 2 out of the 3 factors are out of our control. So that $1,116,000, we're not going to put that on the levy. In fact, it's going to be a little under $900,000. In fact, it's $134,000 less than what we predicted at the annual meeting, because we wanted to be empathetic to people at the local level. And I'm pretty darn confident, I don't have any inside information, but I think the village is probably going through a lot of the same things. So we need to be empathetic for them as well. All in all, we tried to keep it at 0.33%. Really, if you take a look at the taking the money out of fund balance, it's back to that 0.33%, which we told you at the annual meeting, and we were trying to keep our increases down. So instead of the 3% inflation, we went to 0.33. Some people might be upset by that, because we actually lost 2.67% of our buying power again. We lost 2.67% of our ability to help children. Yet, it's the right thing to do, because we should be sympathetic. We should learn lessons. We should try to work together. And those lessons that we're trying to move forward and not look backwards. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dan, and he's going to make it come to life in the final budget update.
How do you follow that, right? So you've heard us talk about the revenue limit before, and instituted in 1993, limits the amount of money a school district can raise between state aid and local property taxes. So the effective equation is, we figure out the revenue limit, we back out the amount that the state is going to give us, and the remainder is local property taxes. There's 3 main variables in that calculation: enrollment, the amount that state is going to kick in, and then equalize property values for the final calculation of your mill rate. So let's take a look at each of those variables. Enrollment, we typically plan for flat enrollment because we like to be conservative in that calculation and understand what that, worst case scenario kind of could be. It's based on a 3-year rolling average. So this year we had an increase of 11 students from a funding standpoint. We have more than 1,301 students that come to our building every day, but from a funding standpoint, it's 1,301 students for funding this year. When we look at state aid, as Jim talked about, a 5.23% reduction in state aid. So our number this year is $9.95 million. And that reduction is because the state legislators and the governor, when they created the state budget for this year, they chose not to fund schools, school increases at an appropriate level. When we look at local property values at the annual meeting, we talked about a 9.25% increase that was based on our 7-year average for our community. Actually, we came in at 6%, so a little less than what we thought. There's pros and cons to that. But when we look at our property values overall, $1.3 billion in our community, a $74 million increase. And the district does have no control over those property values. So it's a number that we get on beginning of October, to plug it into the formula, and that's how you can calculate the mill rate and compare yourselves to other districts and in the past. So when we look at the tax levy, we put it all together. At the annual meeting, we projected $7.9 million, $5.92 on the mill rate. As Jim talked about, we are reducing the Fund 80, the community service levy this year, $135,000 to push that down to about $7.8 million. Now, because the property value increase was only 6% versus that 9.25 that we talked about, that means the mill rate actually is going to go up, but we are levying less than what we expected. So when we look at a summary here, our enrollment increased, property values didn't increase as much as what we thought. State budget allowed a $325 per student increase that was not funded by the state. It was $422,000. We talked about the state aid reduction, 5.23%. That's $550,000 there. Private school vouchers increased 27% this year, $140,000 to a total of about $650,000 there. As we talked about, we're going to use some fund balance in Fund 80 that'll be used to reduce that impact on the local taxpayers. So when we look at the mill rate, $5.99 a total. So for operating at the general fund at $3.87, private school vouchers 51 cents, the debt service levy $1.59. That's only for the required payment, and then we reduce that community service levy to 2 cents for $40,000 there. So that's how we get to $5.99. So as Jim talked about, much of these increases are out of our control. We recognize the impact that the state has put on our community. And as Jim said, we empathize with that. In an effort to be a good partner in all this, we've decided to reduce that levy in the community service fund to, try to minimize the impact on our local taxpayers. So that's all I had. Jim, if you have anything else to add or questions from the board.
I just have a question. So we're taking money from the community service fund, and I think that's awesome that that decision was made to do that, to be fiscally as responsible as we can, right? To help out community. I live here, so it helps me, right, as a taxpayer, right? My concern is, are we reducing services by taking money out of that community service fund?
We are not reducing any services from Fund 80. So we've created a rather healthy fund balance in Fund 80 over the years in order to create equipment rotations in the wellness center. So we made the decision this year to use some of those dollars to help out the taxpayers. So not Not sure we'll be able to continue to do that so far in the future, because it's usually not a great idea to, pay for ongoing expenses with one-time money, but, in this year, we thought that was the best decision on what we do. So hopefully their next state budget comes out, a little bit better on our end, and we'll be able to, not have to do some of those things.
A residual of that is, I stopped over at the fitness center one morning this week, saw some people working out. Not me, but met with, Jordan, and, he is gonna come and do a little presentation for you guys here in the next month or two. So you can learn more about the fitness center, because it's pretty cool. And it looks great, and, the great news is enrollment's up. They're breaking records left and right there, so that's probably one of the more outstanding partnerships between a village and a school district. And so you guys should, all of you should take credit for that. And that's a great thing that you did. But more on that next month or in December, one of the two.
Yeah, we keep the mill rate below 6. How many other districts in Brown County have a mill rate below 6?
I would say probably none, so it will be, probably the lowest in our area for sure. I think Wapaka had a lower mill rates. I don't know what their reasoning for is out there, but, you'll see mill rates, everywhere from, that $6 range to upwards of $10, $11, depending on, if there's a referendum that was passed and, as a result of the school funding formula, those revenue limits. So as Jim talked about a couple months back, when you're locked in, if you were higher spending, you're able to continue to do that. And if you're limited, you're not able to do that limited, obviously.
Do you have a feeler, do you have a guess of how other districts, how much they're raising, of how their mill rates are changing this year with the other?
Well, I think, every district is in the same situation as Jim said, 75% lost aid. So, vouchers are increasing. We're not unique in those realms. So, in order to fund things appropriately, you'll see, news articles about budget deficits in districts like Green Bay and Edmonton, things like that. Districts going to operational referendum to, in order to pay for things, and, we're not having to do some of those things. So I think those are wins for, us financially, that we're able to balance our budget, with the tools that we have for us. So, we're not always able to do everything we want, but, we're able to make it work. So, I think that's a testament to our district. High achieving and low spending, like we talked about our community. Anything else from the board?
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. With that, we have a motion on the table for the approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. And then next on the agenda is approved contract for CISA 7 superintendent search.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract for the CISA 7 superintendent search.
I will second.
Any questions on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Policy for discussion. So discussion and possible approval of volume 34, number 1 of NEOA update. Looking for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve volume 34, number 1.
I'll second it.
Any questions on it?
Who are we marking as second here?
I put
Go
that.
ahead. Go ahead.
You better do it.
I put
You were
that.
quicker,
Okay.
slightly quicker.
Just want to confirm for we got approved minutes.
I will rescind my.
And then the only difference between the current one and what we looked at the workshop last time is we updated the wording around,
Appropriate.
Yes, inappropriate, but then what was that 3281?
Yep.
So yeah, that's the only change within there.
Any other questions on it? All right, all those in favor?
Right.
Anyone opposed? Yeah, motion carries. All right, administrative updates and board reports.
Look at where the finger's going. Who wants to go first? Oh, Ken wants to go first. We're going right down the line.
In addition to the readathon that we had, that was a huge success. I wanted to share that our third grade students had the opportunity to participate in the Packer Outreach Program, which encourages 60 minutes of physical activity per day. The students loved the event. It was fantastic. A huge thank you to Amy Collins for setting this up for our students, and a wonderful thank you to all our parent volunteers. So that was a really neat activity that our kids got to do. Thank you to whoever cooperated. It was wonderful. Also, our kindergartners wrapped up their first reading unit with a We Are Readers parade. Staff and students lined the halls to cheer on our youngest readers as they proudly carried their star stories. It was a wonderful celebration of their hard work, growth, and love of reading.
Well, I'm back. Here's it here for me again. You know, we did just talk about the budget, but, you know, one of the highlights, you know, obviously is the 25-26 budget has been finalized, and we're proud to report that budget. Outside of that, the business office has dedicated significant time and resources to meeting state reporting requirements related to finalizing 24-25 fiscal year and as well as beginning the 25-26 fiscal year. So a lot of reporting right now, a lot of reporting to GPI and things like that. So we're hoping to get through that cycle pretty quick and focus on other things. So.
In student services, we have continued our partnership this year with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So we have volunteers from the community coming in who are interested in mentoring children. The volunteers are screened and then they're matched with the student. And bigs and littles meet each week. They play games, do crafts, or just talk. This is an awesome opportunity for our students to form a positive connection with someone in the community. So we're always looking for more volunteers. Last week I was able to visit for a student and did some bus driver training specific to transporting our special education students. So we just talked about strategies for students with disabilities to keep them safe on the bus. And I just think for students, they were very welcoming and provided that time and space for the training. October 3rd in service, special ed staff received Medicaid training. And that basically focuses on claiming procedures and how they document health services that we provide eligible students in their IEPs. So the school district receives dollars back for that, and we're reimbursed for any services that we pay.
All right, in the Director of Teaching and Learning world, we had our first quarterly mentee meeting that focused on student engagement and classroom management techniques. We have a really strong team of new teachers this year, so it's fun to get to know them a little bit better, and then to see them interact together and offering ideas and support for the individuals that were coming with different questions. It was cool to see all of them working together to be the best teachers they possibly could be. All content areas from 4K to 12th grade have been working on our year-long resource audit that we'll be completing just to get a real picture of what is our current reality and what's happening in our classrooms. This project will take us until late February, early March, so they're working on that every month. And then lastly, our in-service on Friday, October 3rd, had a focus on educator effectiveness. All of the staff met in the auditorium at the high school to go over expectations when we're creating our student learning goals, our professional practice goals, and then to create look-forwards for administrators when we go into do classroom observation. So they want us to be focusing on to help them grow, so that it ultimately will help our students grow. So that's what's staff will focus on for the 25-26 school year.
Over at the high school, October is manufacturing month. We partnered at the high school with the, if I can say this without tripping up, Northeast Wisconsin Manufacturing Alliance, or MEMA. Numa, there we go. And local businesses to provide our students with some great field trips. They help to offset the cost of some of our transportation for the month of October field trips. Our students are going to attend the Build My Future Day at NWTC, the manufacturing's first expo at the Resch, and business students will be touring Belmar next week. We do have some teachers and myself attending, and Mrs. Nelson attending the ACP Roundtable at the Resch Expo near the end of the month. That gives us a chance as educators to meet directly with business leaders and plan more opportunities for our students. I know we're just starting the school year, but we're already thinking about next school year when it comes to high school schedule. And so that's right around the corner. Sarah and I have been meeting with departments. In those meetings, we're going to discuss our scope and sequence of course offerings. We've had some great conversations with our staff members and looking at new opportunities for dual credit AP and advanced courses. We're also planning for a scheduling showcase. I mentioned this before during the December parent-teacher conferences. And then our registrar, our counselors, the leadership team, we received some scheduling training last week in a webinar with Skyward. And then many of us also attended a conference the last couple of days to learn more about scheduling. And I think that was really good. My brain is still burning. People that are smarter than me hopefully took more out of it. So I'm trying to keep up. And then finally, I wanted to recognize outstanding efforts of our students, really who serve our community and our school. Again, a couple months in, our students have promoted the Senior Citizen Dance after homecoming. They organized through sources of strength, a very successful Color Blaze run. And of course, not too far back, we had the community craft fair. And there's a lot of work behind the scenes by many, many students to get that work done. We also have a number of students that donate blood for the Red Cross blood drive. Mr. Erickson reported that we had a record. I don't know what the number was, but we had a record number of student donors this time around. That's really, really exciting. NHS works with adoptive family and many other things, kind of again behind the scenes. Not really asking for any special recognition, but just doing all of that work to help make our community a great place. It really does say something special about our kids, that they do serve our community in many ways. Some of those things unseen, which is very, very kids. So that's the report from the high school.
Tiger Nation shout-out goes to our girls golf team. They qualified for sectionals as a team 2 weeks ago. They placed third in the regionals at Mid Valley Golf Course. Unfortunately, sectionals did not go as planned. We did not qualify for state as a team, and one of our lead golfers who placed first many times just missed out on going to state by one stroke. Most of our, we had a great season. Most of our girls are back next year, so and I know they're already excited for next year. Looking back, they did really, really well. All right, thank you, Coach Blower, to our players. One Act was added again last week, and they qualified through districts at Ashwaubenon. All right, they will advance to the sectionals at O'Connell Falls in the first week of November, and with that, hopefully they get a chance to go to state. State is held this year at UW Stevens Point, so hopefully next board meeting we'll a little bit more of that. It's playoff time for the WWIA. All right, so playoff seats come out tomorrow. Is big day. Boys soccer is going to play at 4 o'clock in Algoma, and then at 7 o'clock, our girls volleyball is going to Kiel. And by the way, it's an hour and a half from Algoma to Kiel. I'll be making that trip. On Friday, our cross country runners are going to be running in section. All right, and our football team made the playoffs for the 31st year in a row, back in 1995. They are going to O'Connell Falls. We are the 6th seed, they're the 3 seed, and so the Tigers are going out to the Bay. So hopefully do well for all 4 of our sports this weekend. That's what I have.
All right, so the technology services team, back at the July 2025 board workshop, we discussed implementing wireless network access controls to improve wireless security. Though through some careful budgeting decisions, we've been able to secure funds and move forward with this project. That means that we'll be experiencing some incoming changes to wireless networks, changes in procedures for accessing them. That'll make our wireless network security a little stronger and bring us much closer to the standard industry practices for an organization of our size. So pretty excited about that. Tech services team has also confirmed access of up to $260,000 in E-rate reimbursement money for Category 2 network purchases. That's over the course of the next 5 years. So we'll be including that as part of our 5-year budgeting plan. Team has already has plans to begin utilizing this funding to replace 7 edge switches that will reach end of life before the beginning of next school year. We're also planning to use some of the initial funds this coming year to improve wireless access in larger spaces across the district, like gymnasiums, cafeterias, and any outdoor areas that share instructional purpose, because our density is lacking in a lot of those places. Lastly, then, tech services spent some time analyzing wireless performance at the middle school. A few weeks ago, we were able to modify the radio power settings and channel distribution across the whole building. Middle school teacher summarized the impact of these changes best by saying this, quote, "Internet has improved in my room. Students are no longer getting booted out of programs and are able to fully participate, especially during their diagnostic testing, which would cause them anxiety and impact their test scores. I'm also able to show videos now without constant buffering and reloading. Was often having to problem solve and pivot on the spot with 25 sets of eyeballs on me. This alleviated the anxiety of wondering whether the technology I planned for my room will work or not." So we were pretty happy to see that. Basically, when they set it up, it was just kind of other radios on the same channel, which causes incredible interference. So although the right materials were there, they were all communicating with each other the wrong way, and causing them to be very, very confused. And thus, lots of times internet actors. So that's going really well.
So color runs, blood drives, homecoming, craft fair, readathons, fall sports. A lot of things going on and a lot of great opportunities for children and for great sportsmanship, showmanship, participation, civic pride, I guess is the best way to put it. A lot of civic pride in what's happening around here. So congratulations to all of you that reported. Congratulations to our community for supporting and doing these things. Tens of thousands of dollars were raised this month to help this area and this community. It's pretty special. So that kind of segues into my first report. Brian might need some help. WABCA, WABCA, is that WABCA had their meeting on Thursday, and I went, and a lot of great community members and businesses from the area coming together to try to do some more cool things for kids. So partnering with them is just another scenario where we are doing some great things, and that was really kind of, thank you, Brian, for mentioning that I should go to that. E-rate, kind of piggybacking off of what Corey said, we're going to start bringing some things, and he's going to do a report in November, kind of keep on going on with the reports he's giving. But that E-rate money is there, and we're going to put together a timeline to get some of these things done, because we're at the end of life with some of these things, and we have one point of failure, and makes me a little nervous. Should make everybody a little nervous at one point of failure. So we're going to be looking at those things in the very near future. Neola, we will start with the Neola 34-2 for those keeping score at home, and we'll do that in November. And you know, if everything goes according to plan, January would be where you'd have your second reading of Neola 34-2. And yes, folks, you are caught up then. So that's great. CISA 7, I just wanted to make mention, and I didn't want to do it when Aaron was here, but Aaron gave us a discounted rate on doing the search. And so it's a really good price for all the things, the surveying and everything else that they plan on doing. So give him a shout out and appreciation for CISA 7 wanting to work with us. The last thing I have is, oh no, I have two more things, because I'm looking forward to Sarah sharing more about the school report cards, but they're embargoed right now, so that's all I can say. But we're really looking forward to that, right, Sarah? Yes. I thought you'd see it that way. And then one final thing is we are going to be looking at and hopefully rolling out next month or very soon thereafter, Caring for Students. Our bus company now has software that parents can download on their phone, an app that you can follow where your bus is, you know, before school and after school. Not for, events out to Algoma and Hinterland, we're not there yet. And by the way, there's no good way to get to Kiel from there. Good luck with that. But hopefully by, I don't know, Thanksgiving, Christmas for sure, they'll be able to track it on their phone. If it's late, if it's early, you know, so they don't have to worry about those things. So they'll be able to track it on their phone, their app. So that's a really, really cool thing. I think parents are really gonna like that. Maybe put the kids on the bus instead of having to drive them here. Huh? What do you think? All in favor, say, no, anyway. That's all I have.
All right, awesome. Next on the agenda is executive session. So the Board of Education may, upon motion duly made, carried, convened in closed session under one or more of the exemptions provided in section 19.851 Wisconsin statute for the following purpose. Pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibilities, specifically administrator evaluations. And then B is pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.851F, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons, which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data, or involved in such problems or investigations, specifically to review student disciplinary information, update the board on pending investigation. Be looking for a motion to go in the closed session.
Before we go into closed session, are we gonna be taking action, or are we gonna be expecting to adjourn in closed session?
It's part of evidence to come out of closed session back in the open session.
Yeah,
So we are expecting.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
So, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? 7-12.
Okay. Roll call, Bill.
Out.
I'll meet you back